This is Sound Experience, the show that explores the vast world of audio production through the experiences of our guest and the ears of your host, mixing engineer and producer Tim Dolbear.
Hey, welcome back to Sound Experience, powered by Intertalk Radio, your voice of the music business. I am your host, Tim Dolbear, coming to you live from Eclectica Studios in Austin, Texas. And summer has hit here in Austin. It's nice and hot. All the air conditioners are humming away really nicely, and the studio's been very busy, and it's been humming away very nicely. So it's just been a really great time right now out here in beautiful Austin, Texas. So before I get started, give a shout out to some of our sponsors and some of the people that encourage us and back us and help us get this show out to everyone to hear. And that would be, we got Blackbird Academy, hands-on training for studio and live sound. Great River Electronics, from tracking to mastering. Great River. They're just amazing. And Source Connect by Source Element, which is the setup that we use that allows me to speak live from Austin, Texas to the station in San Diego, and then broadcast out live, as well as then available for download and streaming afterwards, of course, too. So there you go. I want to thank you for all of the shout-outs, all of the emails, all of the messages on Facebook, all of the questions, all of the different things that come into us all the time. Please reach out to us anytime. You can always find me at timdolbear.com. You can find the show exactly where you're at right now, which is probably the intertalkradio.com website, on our page for Sound Experience. And you can also find the latest going-ons with me in the many adventures of rebuilding an MCI Sony quarter-inch mastering deck, to just studio stuff, to techniques and learning about monitoring setups, monitor stands, working at 96K. Just tons and tons of information is on my blog. You can also find links to that on our intertalkradio.com/sound experience website, as well as you can find that at timdolbear.com. As well as if you want to get in touch with me about having me work or do any mixing for your project, since that's what I do full time is mixing. I'd love to hear about your projects and talk to you about them, even if it's just words of encouragement that you need in your project or full-blown mixing. Whatever it is, just give me a holler. So last week was really, really, really a cool show and super informative. We had Moses Avalon on, and you have not gotten a chance yet to listen to that show. I really suggest going back and taking a listen to that in archives and getting a hold of his book. His book is just amazing. Confessions of a Record Producer, How to Avoid the Scams and Pitfalls of the Music Industry. And he's on volume 3 now of that book. Updates as the music industry has evolved, so has the book, of course, has evolved. And there's so much amazing information in that. Please go back and listen to that show and get that book. He doesn't even know that I'm giving it another shout out again this week. It's that good. It sits here on my coffee table, and as I go through it, when I'm not reading it, it sits there, and every client that walks in the door, I require them that this is a required reading. It is answers to the questions that every client asks me constantly about everything from copyright to shopping to placement to everything about the music business at this point. And it's very honest. It's brutally honest and straightforward and true to my experience through the last 25, 30 years of doing this. And you have to read it. It's just one of those things. So we're going to stay on that topic today. We actually have changed directions with our show today, and I have Mark Rubel joining me from Blackbird Academy. He is, I describe him as the co-director, instructor, professor of audio at Blackbird Academy, but mostly a fantastic guy and a fantastic audio engineer that's been working in this business going back many, many, many years, decades, if we can say that, I guess. So we're going to continue our discussion on studio business. And instead of being the record producer's view on for artists and for people wanting to break into the industry, today we're going to talk more about the engineer, such as myself and most likely you listening, their needs, wants, questions, and stuff for running a studio business. Since a vast majority of the working engineers in audio own their own place or are working out of their own place all the time or most of the time, it's business. And I got into this business as an artist. I was a guitar player. I'd done stuff, played with Sammy Hagar and various other people live, being a live guitar player out there, touring, doing that type of thing. And I got put into the studio business, and I didn't have a business head by any means. I had an artist head. And so, therefore, I really had a lot to learn when it came to the business side of it. So today I want to dive in deep about what I've learned, what Mark Rubel has learned, and hopefully the things that will help you get thinking about what you should do when it comes to business and running your business, running your studio business, and getting it out there. So welcome to the show, Mark Rubel.
Thank you, Tim, for letting me be in it.
How are you doing today?
Fantastic. We had just wrapped up a day's worth of sessions here at Blackbird Studio D, recording with a great artist and incredible musicians from Memphis and Nashville, and it was really fun.
Very cool. What the session consist of, if I may dive into that?
We have a drum set, we have a bass guitar player, we have a keyboard player playing a Hammond B3, and a singer, and overdub some guitar. But it was fun, and used to always learn the process, and so it was just really fun getting drum sounds, particularly. Just used a couple stunt microphones process, which was fun.
So you were recording the band live then?
That is correct.
Uh-oh. I hear you dropping out.
Yeah. Yes, I am here. And yeah, we recorded them live, complete with singer.
Very cool. Oh, I love capturing music that way. Well, great.
Yeah, it's the best. And you get the best vocal takes that way also.
Yes. Okay. Then I guess since as we go into, we have 4 minutes in this segment left, and then we can dive in really deep coming in the next one. But if you can catch up the listeners, myself, get us up to speed with yourself, basically you over the years, where you started from and came through, and how you ended up as a professor at Blackbird and living in Nashville.
Well, let's see. I started playing bass guitar at the age of 12, and something like 1912 or 15 or whatever that was, in a town called Champaign, Illinois, which is a place with a fantastic music scene. Did a lot of home recording, when I was a kid, and started a recording studio in 1980 called Pogo Studio, and ran that for 30-some years in Champaign, Illinois. Just making, hundreds and hundreds of records. Started teaching audio 31 years ago.
Wow. Still
playing music, and then taught through the community college in Champaign at my studio, and I figured out I taught 84 semesters of audio there, which is incredible, thousands of students, because the 84 semesters, two of the three semesters of the year were 2 sections. So thousands of people, and just continued to develop the studio and so on. In the process of teaching music business and recording at various universities, I would bring my students down to Nashville and Memphis to meet people. And I met John McBride at Blackbird Studio, hit it off with him, and one day he announced that he was going to start a recording school because he was frustrated with the people that he was getting out of schools who didn't know anything or know how to behave and had spent huge amounts of money, and said that he wanted to put a school together. I told him I was going to be his teacher, quit my job at a university, closed my studio, which was thriving, sold the building that we lived in, and moved to Nashville with no contract or guarantee, because it was the opportunity to realize, the school that I'd been building in my head for decades. And here I am in Nashville. It's just been incredible. Blackbird is an unbelievable place. It's a great opportunity to do it as well as we know how. And now I'm getting ready to reopen Pogo Studio here in Nashville.
How far along are you with the put together and construction?
Well, the building, we bought Steve Earle's old studio that he had with a great engineer, producer named Ray Kennedy.
I've lost
there's
my
really
feed.
No construction.
So, if I'm still on, I will continue to talk, and we will get Mark back on the line. I guess his cell phone had dropped out. So
he's there.
Let me talk a little bit about my background on it then.
Actually, can you hear me,
I
Tim?
started,
Can
as
you
I
hear
had said,
Tim? Tim,
running
can you hear?
as a professional musician. And while on the road was picked up by Keith Olson, who's a producer who works out of Los Angeles, who's done half my record collection. And he listened to my recordings and said, you should be producing. At which point I decided he's probably right. I should definitely follow what he's saying. And he brought me in. And yes. I am not hearing him whatsoever.
I am on, Tim. Hello?
There you are. Now I'm hearing him.
Checking 1, 2. Hey! So, to answer your question, we bought...
yes, please. We'll continue.
Steve Earle, the songwriter, had a studio
Yes.
with a guy named Ray Kennedy, who's a great engineer-producer. And I bought their studio, which is, quite nice. They did a Ray Davis record there and Lucinda Williams and a bunch of cool records there. And so not really a lot of construction necessary. We're just putting my gear in, so it'll take some time to just get it all wired together, all of that.
Fantastic. So as we come up on this break, I want to give a couple stats that are almost daunting, and it will lead us into what we'll be talking about when we get back after this break. And that is the statistics of how many studios and how many engineers and pseudo-engineers and professional engineers are out there. Currently on gearsluts.com, which is one of the main forums out there, there are 10 million plus posts from over 308,000 members. So it is definitely a competitive business, and that's why I want to dive deeper into running a business and running it properly and being successful in it. So this is Sound Experience. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element, affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. Vin Village connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on vinvillage.com. Vin Village is where wine lovers connect.
This is Sound Experience, the show that explores the vast world of audio production through the experiences of our guest and the ears of your host, mixing engineer and producer Tim Dolbear.
Hey, welcome back to Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio, your voice of the music biz. We're on with Mark Rubel from Blackbird Academy, and we're talking about running studio businesses. And so let's throw it out there. I just gave some stats on how many people want this job, how many people want to be able to do studio work full time, and it's just a daunting amount of folks that have this dream and have this want to go into this business. But the majority of people that I run into when I go and I teach at various different schools, including Blackbird, is many people don't realize the business side of it. Everyone's very happy to be recording a drum kit or being the mixing engineer, but the actual business side of it really needs to be, in my opinion, one of the most important angles that a person goes after. So, Mark, what's your philosophy on business?
Well, I have a number of them. I mean, first is, I think it's important to just be as careful as possible in how you interact with people and clients. So it's, beyond having the skills to record something or the ability to make something well, it's the ability to communicate with them, to figure out what they want, and to give it to them, to make them feel comfortable, and just to have amazing studio etiquette to make your clients feel important. So that's number one. I think just interaction and everything from how you answer the door to how you answer the phone to the language that you use in an email, the language that you use from moment to moment in a recording session. What do you say right before a take? If it's, are you ready for another one? Probably not good. You say, okay, you ready to go? Or, here we go. Or something, it's really every moment of interaction is vitally important. So I would say that's number one. I also think that as a business person, it's important to be a part of the community and to cultivate the community rather than just self-promoting in a self-serving way, to actually serve the community. So to provide a service that people need and to help out, to instruct people, and to help build the community that you're in. And that means, ironically, I would say, everybody would think it's a super competitive business. To me, I think you go a lot farther by collaborating and cooperating even with the people that you're competing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very lucky, being in Champaign, Urbana, which is a medium-sized town, about 100,000 people. And I was very lucky that the guy who had the other big studio that I was competing with on paper is a great friend of mine, Jonathan Pines, who now works for Rupert Neve Designs. And, we had a great collaborative friendship, which meant that people couldn't play us off against each other and try to get us to undercut each other, that we could lend each other equipment if we needed it for bigger projects, and that we could also keep each other, if there was a problematic client who was going to, we could warn the other person about it. And, the whole process of collaborating with other people in the recording business, but also building the entire community to make it strong and to build cooperation between musicians and all the other elements that it takes to make a healthy community. Ultimately, that rising tide floats all ships. Interesting.
And you feel that still holds true today in today's market?
I do. I really do. I think that the places like Nashville that are doing well, where there is a lot of activity and a lot of business, and a lot of people making a living doing it. I think one of the real hallmarks of it is that it's a cooperative community, that people are open and friendly, and I think that it, obviously everybody is trying to do as well with their business as they can, but not at the expense of others. So, I think there's a big difference between a music scene and a music community. I think there are a lot of places that have a music scene, but I just don't think that those places go as far as they would if everyone worked together.
So it seems more like this is, you could say, the artist side of it, the artist-driven, not necessarily the musicians that would be coming into it, but we'll say the artist side of the brain of people who work and run and own recording studios, because this is a completely different kind of direction and philosophy than you would find in really any other business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I guess that's the case. I mean, it is an art, and art thrives from community, and I think that in a similar way, if you're in a dance scene or an art scene or other cultural work, building community is important. And I suppose you don't get that as much in the insurance companies.
No. It just takes something small like a bakery, and I just don't see bakeries sharing with each other and, you want to borrow a mixer, that kind of thing. I guess the mixer topic would go across that too. So, hey.
Yeah, but so much of what we do is based on education, and I don't mean just educators, but when I think anybody who has a studio is in the education business. When a client comes in, you're helping them to understand how the technology works, how they can interact with it. Hopefully you teach them how to overcome their limitations and deliver things they didn't know they were capable of. And that makes for a better educated client who's more likely to stay in recording. And then, it's entirely possible that by doing so, they will benefit somebody else if they go to record with them. And if we can help, say, a musician to be successful, then they'll go to the guitar store and they'll spend money, and that supports the musician who works there who might come into our studio, and then they take an ad out on a radio station, and that supports the person who works there, and then they pay a teacher, and then they go to a show. And those sorts of things that keep money circulating in a local economy are very important, and the overall health of the place is vitally important. And so those are the kinds of things that I look at. So I think that's why it's so important to teach people to treat people well. That to never dismiss a client if they're young or inexperienced or not very good, because we can do more working with somebody like that, and to elevate them to another level, and eventually 10 years or 20 years down the line, or maybe 1 year down the line, that benefits not only them but everybody else involved.
Absolutely. What are some other ways that you know of to build community then?
Well, encouraging events, doing, having little panels or workshops or something like that in the studio, for example, if somebody wants to come in, even if it's showing a piece of equipment or having a little workshop on how to record drums or how to do something, that gets people familiar with one's facility and with you as an expert, and then you become the person that they go to if they have questions that somebody else goes to. And even though some of the people are going to take this information home with them, and you might think, gee, if we educate people on how to do what we do, that means they're less likely to use us. But I kind of think of it in the opposite way, which is it enables them to do better work themselves, and then once they get up to a certain point, they're going to realize they just want to make music and they'd rather hire somebody to do the recording part, for example. And they realize that, it's a left brain, right brain operation where it's difficult to be creative and technical, analytical at the same time. Or they see what they go home and they realize, gee, it's a lot harder than it sounds in a magazine or something like that. Another technique, or I don't know if it's technique, another thing that I've found that really helps is belonging to professional organizations like the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences or the Audio Engineering Society. Mm-hmm. It's those interactions that not only make us smarter, but actually connect us with the people who can get us work and just make us more professional in general.
One of the main things
example,
that's helped out my career. Sorry, go ahead.
In Chicago, there's a group called the Engineering and Recording Society. It's just a local group of record makers, recording engineers, studio owners, and they basically realized that the only time they would see each other was in New York or LA at the AES show, which is silly, right? We wouldn't see each other when we were in our own places. I was 150 miles away, but and so they have a monthly get together. They'll go to somebody's studio. They'll have an equipment shootout, or they'll bring in a guest speaker, or sometimes just socially get together. And it's highly valuable. It's good for people to connect in that way, and also I think good business.
Yes. One of the things that really helped out my career majorly was being able to go to AES shows, the AES in New York or San Francisco and now in LA this year, or going to the NAMM show and being able to be face-to-face with various people that I meet through forums and I meet online at various things. And having those interactions and building relationships has really done a lot for my career, and in ways that you never expect. It's really amazing how that type of interaction will spread and will help you in many different ways. So, okay, we're down to a couple seconds before the next break. When we get back, I want to talk about various different ways to find your niche, ways to set yourself apart in this industry, and also the fact of how we're up against a do-it-yourself kind of world, being that people buy the equipment and do it at home rather than hiring an expert to do it, and what we're up against there. So this is Sound Experience, powered by Talk Radio, your voice of the music biz. We're on Mark Rubel from Blackbird Academy, and we're going to be back in a couple minutes, so hang on. I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. MEIEA Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit mozeguitars.com or their Facebook page, mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element, affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind. and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
This is Sound Experience, the show that explores the vast world of audio production through the experiences of our guest and the ears of your host, mixing engineer and producer Tim Dolbear.
Hey, welcome back to the second half of Sound Experience, powered by Intertalk Radio, your voice of the music biz. I am Tim Dolbear, coming to you live from Eclectica Studios in Austin, Texas, and we're talking about studio business today, and building community and getting your business out there and getting yourself out there. And I think the next area, we're on with Mark Rubel from Blackbird Academy, professor there. And let's dive into the area of finding your niche then, and how to define your niche.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that there's such a need to be a jack of all trades, because everyone who calls, you want to be able to help them and provide a service for them so you can make a living and keep the lights on. Obviously, anything that's completely out of the question, you want to be able to make sure that you are the hero in the situation where you can recommend them to somebody who's going to take care of them properly. But anything that you possibly can do, you want to be able to do. At the same time, you want to be able to build kind of a niche. You want to be known for something. You want to become the expert in that area and get a reputation in that area. So any philosophies or thoughts behind building a niche?
Well, I think it's different. Of course, it's different for different people. I think some people are well suited to learning a variety of things, and that obviously is easier to market if you're capable of doing a variety of musical styles. If you have other things that you can do, voiceover, ADR, and that sort of thing. And thinking back on all the time that I spent in the studio, it's been interesting, that sometimes we were doing instructional videos or language lab recordings, or forensic audio is something that I do. I do a fair amount of work, cleaning up recordings for law enforcement and testifying in copyright trials and that sort of thing. So definitely being eclectic helps. But it's not for everyone. I think that for some people, their niche is narrower. And it's something, to me, that I think that comes from people's personalities. Some people are suited to specializing. There's some area that they can specialize in where they can be the best at it. And that works too. If there's one person, who's the best at, say, transferring old tapes or cleaning things up or doing a particular type of voiceover recording or a cappella music or, jazz recording or live recording, that also works. So I don't know that there's a recipe for doing it well. I think it's more a matter of surveying one's own personality and abilities and seeing what works, in terms of whether we're better at specializing or not.
Absolutely. I'm one of those jack of all trades, you could say, and I realize that when I look through my website and I look at other people's websites, and as I survey the landscape, you could say, for the business, that because of the fact that I offer such a wide variety of things, I'm a product specialist also. I was for Sequoia, and I work with other companies also as a product specialist. And then I also have a radio show. And then I also visit schools and as a visiting professor and teach about all kinds of things, from product specialist type stuff to workflow stuff, that when someone looks at my line card of the things that I do, they can tend to think, well, okay, then mixing must not be his thing. Let's find someone who just mixes because they must be better at it. And so that's an area that I'm always kind of battling, because how do I balance the fact that, yes, I do all of these different things, and I don't do any of them half-ass. All of them are full tilt.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting because of the perceived notion that you get.
Sure. And some of that depends, I think, on your website and how you present things, and present your abilities and how they fit together and how they cross-pollinate.
Exactly. That brings us to another question of owning your own studio versus being a visiting engineer at other studios. There's many people who are coming up through the ranks that I talk to that obviously they want to get a job at a big studio, or they want to own their own studio, or some variance of both. And there's so many considerations to be thought about. Owning your own studio, as I describe it often, is a full-time job doing maintenance. And it really, it's something to be considered, because if that's not something you want to be involved in all the time, then obviously going to a studio that's a commercial facility that has, the maintenance already done, you walk in the door and you can just take care of the session. But at the same time, you're also renting that, and all of the money's going into someone else's pocket. So through your entire career, have you always just had your own studio, or have you done a blending of the two where you're also working out of other studios prior to getting to Blackbird, of course?
I've always had my own studio, but I've also done a fair amount of work out of it, whether it's doing live sound or location recording, classical recording in concert halls, going to places it's really one of the wonderful things about our occupation these days is that there's so many different things that qualify as a recording studio. It just could be really an empty room anywhere you can go to with a laptop and so on. So maybe I'll address it a little bit wider way, which is I think so many people start with what they think they need, like what equipment they think they need. They have to have a studio, or they have to have this DAW, or they have to have this microphone or this compressor because they've read about it, or their hero has one, and they think they can't function unless they have this thing. But I think it's better to think of it the opposite way, which is not to buy equipment or buy a studio because you've been told you need it, but to invest in the capabilities that you need. So, if it's like, I need to track bands all the time, but then you'd want to work towards at least finding a room that you can use, or possibly building your own. I need to be able to capture a vocal sound for overdubs and that kind of thing. Then that tells you what you need. Too often I see my students and other people who ask me for advice that think they have to buy a particular thing, and I usually turn it backwards and ask, well, what is it that you need to do, or what is it that you want to do or aren't able to do as well as you'd like?
Right. Yeah, it's very important with gear, because everyone feels like they have to have the buzz piece of gear, the latest thing that's happened that everyone's using, and, clients are going to be asking for this. One of the notorious things that I've run across in conversations is obviously Pro Tools. I use Sequoia for all of my work, and I have many clients that will come to me, hey, do you use Pro Tools? And that is an adjective and a verb and a noun and various other things that it means so much that they don't necessarily even mean the actual real program Pro Tools necessarily. They just mean, are you recording digitally where you can edit stuff together? And once you start realizing that, it becomes a different conversation, because I have Pro Tools here for when I import something or export out of Pro Tools into Sequoia, but I certainly am not using it for anything beyond that. And so when a client asks me about it, I have to be able to say, the correct thing, to not just say, oh, no, I don't have it. Because in their mind, it might just be, oh, you don't have the capability of tuning a vocal. So you have to really realize what the terminology is that's coming to you. Another thing is, of course, when I started my studio, there's certain pieces of gear that I felt I should have, just as you're saying. Everyone uses this. This is how you get the sound. This is the right thing. Well, over the years, after trying so much stuff and learning my own workflow and learning my own sound and what I was comfortable and what I'm hearing and what matches what I'm hearing in my head, I've landed with gear that's, for the most part, very much off the beaten path. And I think that has been a huge asset to me, because I'm using stuff that doesn't necessarily sound like what everyone else is using. And I think that's a huge benefit also for setting yourself apart, is the fact that you have signature pieces, you could say, of gear that give you a signature sound that complement what you're hearing in your head.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can get overly focused on the equipment, which is funny. I think we overestimate how much the clients care what we're using. To a large extent, they're hiring us so they don't have to worry about that stuff. They want the results. They don't really know the difference between the equipment, and they shouldn't have to worry about it. We get overly focused on it. But I think that is a funny thing because that means that we undervalue our own abilities. One of the things that everybody has to contend with is the importance of equipment in this entire process. And I can confidently tell you from a place where we have all the equipment in the world that it's not the equipment that makes the record. As we say, it's not the wand, it's the wizard.
Right.
That somebody who's great will be able to... Yeah. But somebody who's great will be able to get great results with practically any equipment. And somebody who isn't will be able to get lousy results with practically any equipment. So it's something that's funny about our business that I think we credit some of the superstition that we know better than. In other words, we think that it's the equipment that makes us good. And partly I think it's because we are to a large extent technical artists. And as artists, it's hard to credit your own abilities and your own creativity because it's a hard thing to quantify. So not only do other people think, oh, well, they're great because of their gear, but we tend to undervalue our own abilities, I think, and overvalue the equipment, which is an odd thing. Okay.
It is. It really is. Okay, we'll pick that back up when we get back after this break. This is Sound Experience powered by Talk Radio, your voice of music biz. You're listening to Sound Experience. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element, affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. MEIEA Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit mozeguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Sound Experience, the show that explores the vast world of audio production through the experiences of our guest and the ears of your host, mixing engineer and producer Tim Dolbear.
Hey, welcome back to Sound Experience, powered by Intertalk Radio, your voice of the music biz. This is our last segment of the show, so let's dive right back into it. We're talking about gear and studios, and which pieces of gear, and how we don't necessarily throw it onto our own. We don't give ourselves the credit that we need. And an example that I was thinking about, Mark, when you were talking about that is, right now, I'm blessed to be able to I'm signed on to mix 6 different albums right now. There's 6 different albums on my desk. Not a single one of those clients asked me what gear I use, even one iota about it. And it's gotten to the point, thankfully, after 17 or 18 years of doing this full time, that I could be working on Radio Shack gear. No slam on Radio Shack. They're just not known for high-end pro audio. I could be working on Radio Shack gear, and my clients don't care. It's like, whatever you do what you do, and that's it. And it's just an amazing place to be in. And again, like you were saying, it has nothing to do with the gear. You need to have good gear for all the reasons that you would have good gear. It doesn't break after 30 days, things like that. The sound quality is good, and it allows you to achieve and get what you hear in your head, you could say, down on tape. So sorry, were you about to say something?
I was going to agree with you.
Okay, cool. So I heard something come through the line on this side. I have a theory of what I call is the 1-year gear, and that's because of owning a studio. Every purchase is super important, and having gear that I have here at the studio, if it sits around and does not get used for a year, and I'm not talking exactly a calendar to the day where there's a countdown, but basically, if it sits for a year without being used, I sell it and turn it into something that's going to give me, it's going to make a profit. I have to be able to have stuff that I can use that will help me in my career and in the studio. There needs to be the return on investment. And if it sits and not get used, I have to turn it into something that will get used and make money. Another thing that I have going on with gear is I always keep in the back of my mind the difference between software and hardware. When you purchase software, it's basically, if you spend $100 on a piece of software, it's $100 that is gone, completely gone. You're not getting it back ever. $100, $1,000, whatever it is. If it's hardware, you've invested into it. If it was a used piece of gear, you're most likely can get almost 100% or more out of it when you turn around to sell it someday. High-end gear really holds its value. New gear, obviously, you still have that drive off the car lot. You're going to drop in a percentage right off the gate. But you also have the warranty and everything else that comes with it. So it's good. But software, which everyone tends to move towards software, the return on investment as far as being able to resell it someday is basically null. There's nothing there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I agree. I think that software is a kind of operating expense, and as inexpensive as it is, that's good. It's amazing how well it works, but there will never be a vintage market for VST plugins or whatever. And accidentally, I've many of the investments I've made in audio gear have turned out to be actual investments, and a lot of the old tube stuff that we bought in the 70s and 80s, when people didn't value it, have turned out to be great investments. So that, I mainly got them because I thought they were great, wanted to use them. So, that is all true. And I was going to say that, one of the advantages of the modern era is the democratization of technology. You think of somebody, a great mixer like Andrew Sheps, who's working in the box completely now. You know, it used to be that. Well, that's both inspiring and kind of depressing, which is, it used to be we could say, well, you know, yes, he's a great mixer, but he's got a Neve console or he's got all this outboard gear. If I only had that, then I'd be a great mixer too. And at this point, everybody's, not everybody, but, you know, many people are working on essentially the same platform. And so what it makes us realize is, again, it's not the equipment, it's the person using it.
Absolutely.
And so that democratizing process is great because it opens the process to many people. And we could say, well, gee, how threatening, because we have all this training, and then there's somebody else who's just bought this stuff. If they're talented, then they'll do great. But you know, most likely they'll realize, as we all do, that gee, this is something that can be done more easily than before, but it's as hard as any art to do surpassingly well.
Yes.
It takes a lifetime of dedication to be great at it, just as it does to be a great painter or a filmmaker or a violinist.
Yeah. So many people have invested so many people have invested so much in studio gear thinking they flip it on and instantly they have it. And the saying I've always given to people on that is, just because you have a nice kitchen doesn't mean you know how to cook.
Absolutely.
And that really needs to hold true with people. They need to realize that. It's not as a discouragement, though. I don't want people to think, oh, you know, hey, I'm never going to get better at this or anything. Absolutely. But it takes work just like anything else.
Yeah, and you have to focus on the right thing. So something that I've told my students is, you know, if you go to a restaurant, you get an incredible meal. You say, could you send the chef out, please? And the chef comes out and you go, what kind of soup did you, what kind of spoon did you use to stir this soup with? Because it's amazing. You know, what's the diameter of the shaft of this spoon? It wasn't the spoon, it's the chef. And it's similar with what we do. And I think that's inspiring. I think it opens the profession to people who might otherwise not be able to afford, you know, the means of production, and it gives us all hope that we can be better, and also gives us a better appreciation of people who are great at it.
Yes, it certainly does. Wow, really, really cool stuff. Any other last thoughts about the stuff we've talked about before we close up shop for the day?
Well, that's why I don't feel threatened by amateur. You know, when we started my studio in the late 70s, already there were affordable home recording setups, you know, 4 tracks and so forth. And I did think, well, this, you know, it might mean that we'll have less clientele because more people will be recording at home, which is something that spurred me to education. Because I figured, well, if more people are recording at home, there's going to be a greater need for people to learn how to record. And, of course, what's turned out is there's been a great demand for recording and a great demand for recording education. And there's no better way to learn to do something than to have to explain it to others as you know.
Yeah. I love teaching. Absolutely love teaching. I love the times that I get when I get to come to Blackbird and just give out everything to all the students as much as they can possibly absorb. And that's another thing about the show, is just being able to, one, share the experience, but also listen to great guests such as yourself and everyone I have on, where I get to ask you the question. I get to sit back and be the student for once, which is super, super important to me. So thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Tim, for having the show.
I love it. It's a great thing.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for filling in last minute for us, too. It's just, you're my go-to person on that. I just love having conversations, as we always do when I have lunch with you when I'm down there in Nashville, Indeed. Which hopefully I'll be back down there very soon. I'll tell you all about that. Yeah, I'll tell you all about that off air, because I haven't quite signed the paperwork yet for it, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, that is it. Yeah, intrigued. That's it for today. So this is Sound Experience. I'm Tim Dolbear, signing off from Eclectica Studios in Austin, Texas. Remember to check out my blog at timdolbear.com. That's my full website with a link to the blog and everything else that I do there, as well as make sure you check out all the other shows that we have on intertalkradio.com. There's so much good information there. Just soak it all in. So I'm signing off. Now, go make some music.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element, affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at which.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Which.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. MEIEA Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit mozeguitars.com or their Facebook page, mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.